Hello everybody, welcome to House Rusty Buckets. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So we are back with hot takes. Let's get into it. Ring culture has ruined basketball discourse. Having a ring doesn't make you any better of an actual basketball player. Example, if MJ had 2 rings instead of 6, that does not mean that Larry Bird is a better player for having 3. I don't know, I kind of hate the way that people talk about this subject in general because it's just so black and white the way this discussion is framed. Like, it's treated as though either championships are the only thing that matter or they don't at all, when it very much exists on a spectrum. Championships are a way for a player to prove how fucking good they are. And a great way to emphasize how fucking good MJ is he went 6 for 6 in the finals. It's kind of a hard thing to argue with. And that's the point. Championships are the way to prove what you are as a player. Now, with that said, there's also a million different contexts that can prevent an all-time great player like LeBron James, for example, from just putting on ring after ring after ring. Like, that is an important thing to factor in, and you just take that context in with each individual basis. Like, unfortunately, as much as people would like basketball discussions and how we rank players to be a simple criteria, it is an extremely nuanced thing that is entirely based on your personal perspective, and championships are a factor in it, but it's not the whole thing. But they're also not a factor like so many people seem to want them to be. I think it's very, very dumb, and I think it's very common for, you'll see, like, for example, Dirk Nowitzki, him losing in 2007 in round 1 to the Warriors, not only not winning a championship that year, but losing in that capacity, losing in the 06 finals. These are things that negatively impacted his legacy, and he was viewed as a worse basketball player because of them. And then he proved that he was better by winning that championship in 2011, and that's a championship that very much matters to his legacy, honestly more so than any individual championship seems to matter to any other player. It's all based on the context of it, and I hate that this is the way that the conversation is framed. Devin Booker is extremely overrated. The only way he wins is when he has a super team. Devin Booker has never had a super team, not even close. The Phoenix Suns are not a super team. They have a lot of talent, but not a super team as far as I'm concerned. Not only are they not now, they never have been. Fucking DeAndre Ayton is your 3rd best player. You're calling that a super team? That is a joke, okay? That's a joke. When the Phoenix Suns made it to the NBA Finals, I would argue they did so without a superstar player on that team. It was a well-constructed, well-fitting roster with a decent amount of talent, and Devin Booker also was the leading player for that charge to the NBA Finals. And I also fucking hate, I'm just pissed today, apparently, this stupid ass argument that you only win when you have talent around you. Yeah, no shit, that generally is how it goes. Devin Booker, for the earlier years of his career, did not have good players around him, and then he had good players around him, and then he started winning, doing that at the forefront of that winning. What else are you supposed to do? What else, what's the problem here? Devin Booker is not, he's not overrated. There were times in the past where I believed that he was, but given this last playoff run, how fucking insane he was, I just couldn't continue to hold that opinion, and I think it's pretty ridiculous to hold that opinion now. My hot take is that SGA wins MVP next season because the Thunder will be good enough. Everyone's taking a slight leap, so there won't be those he's on a bad team excuses, and I don't see him dropping his levels of production. I would actually see him improving. I mean, yeah, I fairly agree. I kind of agree across the board with all of this. I don't even really have much to add to it. I agree. I think not that he's going to win MVP, but that he has a very strong chance of doing so. And if I had to predict, I honestly think I would probably put him like 2nd, most likely. Now, I don't know if that's reasonable, but it's kind of just like a gut instinct that's telling me that he has a real shot at the MVP this year. So yeah, I agree. Not related to any single player, but passes that lead to shooting fouls should count as assists. It would give the assist stat a bit more accuracy in depicting a player's playmaking ability. Here's the problem that exists with that. That would result in a serious inflation in assists per game, which, I don't know, I guess it would really depend on your perspective. For me, it kind of becomes impossible to do that, because then if we're worried about like all-time assist records and things of that nature, well, then you're kind of shit out of luck. I think you could track that and keep it as like its own separate stat, that, but marking it as an assist, I don't know about that. Especially like if they hit the free throws or not, that's a part of it. I don't know, like the assist record book is destroyed the moment that you make that the case. And unfortunately, we don't have enough tracking data all the way back to a lot of the guys who are high up on that list to determine, you know, how many times they pass to a shooting foul. Austin Reaves' ceiling is Manu Ginobili. I don't hate this take as much as I know a lot of people would. I do believe that Manu, by a certain section of fans, is a little overrated. There are a lot of people who seem to feel like Manu Ginobili was supposed to be like essentially Luka Doncic, but the oppressive thumb of the San Antonio Spurs prevented that from being the case. I think Manu was right where he was supposed to be in San Antonio, and going somewhere else he would have put up better numbers and maybe made a few more all-star teams, but I don't know that he necessarily would have been some noteworthy, much better player and like a top 10 guy perennially. I don't know if that's the case. That said, Austin Reaves would have a pretty decent distance to go to truly achieve Manu levels, at least if we're talking about a peak Manu Ginobili. That said, if you're looking at their individual skill sets, there's a lot of overlap. There is a lot of things that Austin Reaves does that the way that he operates is very similar to Manu. In fact, I find this comparison pretty interesting because of how alike they are in that regard. I would be pretty surprised if Austin Reaves got to quite Manu good. I think that Austin could be like a 1 or 2 time all-star given the right context, but probably not a perennial guy. And that's with him being more of a focal point than Manu ever was. And Manu managed to make, I think, 3 all-star teams while definitely not being a big focal point. I don't hate the argument that that's his ceiling. I'm just not going to say that he's going to reach that ceiling if that's what it is. There is no argument for Allen Iverson over James Harden, and I am tired of hearing it. This is just correct. I don't know what else there is to say. This is just correct. Like, he is just about in every conceivable fashion, James Harden is a better player than Allen Iverson. And as far as I am concerned, the big thing that Iverson gets so much credit for, and what seems to be so important to his legacy, is that he beat the 0-1 Lakers once. Now, mind you, no one else beat the Lakers in that playoff run, so I understand why it's a big deal. But as far as I am concerned, taking the 2018 Warriors, Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Kevin Durant, taking that team to Game 7, a Game 7 that could have been won if he didn't shit the bed for sure. But still, the fact that he was ever at all in the position to beat the Warriors in the conference finals, that fucking team, a team that I'm pretty sure literally didn't lose more than 1 game. Did they lose 2 games to the Clippers? I think they might have. But in round 2, I think they only lost 1 game. I know they swept the finals. So I think as far as I am concerned, taking that team to 7 games is significantly more impressive than beating the Lakers once. I know it's not the finals, but I'm just more worried about the competition you're facing. And if James Harden had faced the competition with that 18 Rockets team that Iverson did on his way to the 2001 finals, he would have a championship. Stephen Curry performing misery business with Paramore put him above Jordan and LeBron. I could not agree more. What an interesting moment that was, seeing my second favorite player of all time on stage with my favorite band and favorite artist of all time playing one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that because it was really cool. Not really a take. I guess it technically is. Yeah, Stephen Curry's the GOAT because he knows the words to Misery Business. I don't think Michael Jordan knows the words to Misery Business. I don't know if LeBron does. I'd be more likely than Jordan for sure. But yeah, no, the GOAT.